Yeah. Um, I just wanted to touch on the subject at this minute because uh, it's something that I've noticed. Obviously a lot of people I've been chatting to and stuff have said. And there's a lot going on in the world today. There's a lot going on, and everybody is anxious and afraid. You know, you went from a pandemic to you know what looks like World War III about to kick off, and with prices rising with fuel and electric and food and everything else, and not to mention people's own personal um, fears. Uh, so I just wanted to sort of touch on this subject, and it's basically do not fear. Now, I suppose it's alright me sitting there saying that from the other side of the screen, because everybody has their own fears and their own anxiety problems, and people do get anxious at times, and that's normal, like, you know. But it does say in God's word, do not fear, and I thought it was quite interesting and very unique. I suppose I think the word I'd use is that it's written in the Bible 365 times. Now, if you think about that, that's one for every day of the year. Um, so that's God telling you. He's saying to you, do not fear. It's all right. Obviously, everybody gets their moments where they're like, well, how can you not? You will have to live in this world, and that's completely understandable. Like, I have my own fears and problems. But when God says something like that many times, one for every day of the year, He means it. And it's hard. It is hard sometimes to overcome those things. But the one thing the devil uses is fear. That is his main tactic that he will use against you to try and distract you. And if he can keep you distracted, then you're no threat to him. And the best thing to do is to trust God, to trust that whatever's going on, He's gonna use it for His good. And that can be anything, can be a range of things. Uh, I went through an awful hard time in my life there, and I couldn't see God anywhere in it. But see, looking back now, I could see His hand in it. It's just sometimes when you're actually in the thick of the moment, you can't actually see it because everything's going on around you. You're so consumed with grief and fear and everything else, and sometimes we just can't see it. But when you have time to look back on it, you realise, you know, and the very fact that it's written in the Bible, one for every day of the year, I think's quite. It's not a coincidence, you know. It's not something that's been written, I don't know, 100 years ago. It's been written thousands of years ago. I mean, it's something it's been there, and it always will be there. So I just thought I would share this because I'm sure there's somebody out there that will go, yeah, that's what I needed to hear. That's just something that I'm going through at the minute. Um, so try not to let the devil distract you from what God actually wants you to do. It can be a real struggle sometimes. It can be an uphill battle most of the time. But the Christian life isn't meant to be easy, unfortunately. And anybody tells you different, but they're telling you lies. The disciples never got it easy. Jesus never got it easy. We're not going to get it easy. That's why Paul had mentioned, that he's run the race, because it's a challenge, and I just thought I would share that God's telling us, do not fear. He knows our struggles. He knows what we're up against, and He's there with us. Sometimes we may not be able to feel it because of what we're going through, but He is there. So I just thought I would just share that brief message, just encouragement. Just do not fear. I just think everything going on in the world at the minute is no coincidence. There's no coincidences with God. You know, no coincidences. It's a very fact that the Bible was, you know, preordained. It was something that was designed before our time, and it'll be here long after we're gone. And God knows. He knows what's taking place, and even if we are afraid of what's going on in the world, not just our own lives, you know, that's why even Jesus even said himself, he says, you know, these things must take place. Do not, you know, don't be afraid, but these things must happen. So I just thought I would share that wee message. I hope it's encouraged you, and I will catch you in the next video. Alright, bye.